Hey, what's up guys? How are you guys doing today? It's Eli5 back at you guys with another video. But before we start today's video, I just have a quick question to ask you guys. How have you guys been doing during this whole quarantine thing? Me personally, I've been very bored. I've been stuck in this house for God knows how long, and I'm honestly getting tired of it. But make sure you guys stay at home. If you don't, word is that you will start being fined if you start going outside without further notice. But other than that, let us start today's video. And yes, I know, I haven't done one of these videos in a very long time, but I figured that I would just do a throwback for this video because I have been thinking about this topic for a very long time. In this video, I will be discussing whether or not if the OKC Thunder would have won a championship or more than one championship if NBA All-Stars Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden would have all stayed on OKC. There are a lot of factors that would determine whether or not OKC would have won a ring with these three players on the roster, but honestly there is no way we can find out as of right now. As you guys should already know, OKC managed to draft Durant, Westbrook, and Harden all in back-to-back years. Durant got drafted in 2007, Westbrook was drafted in 2008, and Harden was drafted in 2009. First of all, I give Sam Presti, the GM of the Oklahoma City Thunder, a lot of credit for drafting 3 back-to-back MVPs in a row. It is very rare to draft players like that in back-to-back years, but we all know how that OKC roster ended up to be because as of right now, all of those players are all on different teams. As you guys may know, a couple weeks ago, James Harden was asked this same question in an interview. He was asked if the Oklahoma City Thunder would have won a ring or more if him, Westbrook, and Durant would have stayed on the same team together. And even he said that OKC would have won a couple championships with that roster. And that is coming from an NBA player. I'm pretty sure many people would think that these 3 All-Stars would have brought the OKC Thunder at least one championship sooner or later. The first time that these 3 players ever went to the NBA Finals was back in 2012, and they played against the Miami Heat consisting of the big 3, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh on the team at the time. At that time, I am pretty sure that Kevin Durant was the oldest player out of Westbrook, Harden, and him, but he was only 22 years old, I'm pretty sure. The point that I am trying to get at is the fact that at that time, Durant, Westbrook, and Harden were still basically kids. They were not even close to their prime at that time, and them making it all the way to the NBA Finals was honestly impressive. They still lost the series 4-1, but what would you expect versing a team full of experienced players in LeBron James at his prime? If that OKC team was a bit more experienced and all at their prime, I can honestly see that team beating that Miami Heat team at that time. And we have already seen what the Oklahoma City Thunder are made of when Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook was both still on the Thunder. The Oklahoma City Thunder was still a respectably good team without James Harden on the roster anymore. They never made it back to the finals, but they still had many good playoff runs except for 2015. Kevin Durant even went as far as to win MVP during the 2013-14 season. To add on, Russell Westbrook and James Harden also won the MVP award a couple years after Durant won his first MVP. Imagine having 3 MVPs all on the same team. That sounds very scary and championship worthy, doesn't it? Sadly, it can cause problems with 3 MVPs on the same team, but I will get more into that later in this video. The year that James Harden got traded was the year that he finally showed his true self. He got traded once the 2011-2012 season ended to the Houston Rockets. Once this happened, he was finally starting to average over 20 points per game as the first option on a decent team. Obviously, in OKC, the team was so stacked to the point that a player like James Harden was forced to come off of the bench. He, in my eyes, is honestly considered one of the best 6-mans of all time. He was honestly a pretty productive player coming off the bench behind Westbrook, and he was still developing as an NBA player at that time. Now, there are a lot of positives for having these 3 players on the same team, but there is one huge problem as to why there is a chance that it wouldn't work. The simple answer to this statement is the fact that their egos and pride will take away the best of their ability to win a championship. My point is that all of these players are MVP players, and due to that, obviously all of these players have huge egos. This means that these 3 players will definitely want to be a first option, or they will probably want to run their team in their way all at the same time, but that wouldn't work out at all. On a championship team, you need players to play their role and stick to that role. You can't have 3 players all on the same team that wants to play the same exact role all at the same time. It physically doesn't work. We have already seen an example of this with Carmelo Anthony in his first and only year on the OKC Thunder when he was asked to come off of the bench.
How do you feel about starting at the 4, or the concept of starting at the 4, or even coming off of the bench? And the second question is...
For me?
Oh. I guess that answers that part.
I mean, I don't know where that started, where that came from. Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, well, how do you... I guess the bench question is not
But all jokes aside, if Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden are all on the same team, I can see them not meshing well together because of what I have already said a few seconds ago. Now, there is a chance that they would put their egos to the side in order to win a championship, but there is also obviously a chance that the opposite of that situation would occur. We have already seen Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant get into heated arguments during their time in OKC, and that I feel like is one of the big reasons as to why Durant left OKC in the first place. The other factor that comes into play is the fact that it can't just be Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and Harden on the same team to seal the deal. You need a good overall team around those players to win a championship. On paper, all of these MVPs on the same team will lead people to think that OKC will automatically win a championship, but that isn't the case. If these players ended up on the same team again and the role players surrounding these players are scrubs, then there is most likely an 80% chance that the team won't win a championship. You can't just rely on 3 players to carry the load in order to win something. Everybody on a championship team has to be a factor in order to solidify a championship. Now, going back to the question, would the Oklahoma City Thunder have been able to win a championship despite having Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden staying on the same team that drafted them? Depending on what the team looks like around them, meaning if they have good supporting role players, and depending on if their egos wouldn't get in the way of the chemistry, my answer is definitely. If the chemistry works out and if they have good players around them, then it is a no-brainer that these players will bring the Oklahoma City Thunder their second NBA championship. Yes, I count the Supersonics ring from 1979 for OKC because they are technically the same team, just a relocation. But how can these players on the same team not win a championship with nothing holding them back? They are more experienced today, and that is another factor as to why I think these players would bring a chip to the Oklahoma City Thunder. But other than that, that will be the end of today's video. Make sure you guys leave a like for this video and subscribe to this channel. I will greatly appreciate it. I'm out. Peace.